joining me and welcome to a completely new format of video for this channel. I have decided to introduce a hopefully new routine into this channel that I will update you on every single month, and that's going to be a monthly reset routine. Now, I didn't jump on the trend of a goal setting video for 2022 in January. I haven't done it. I didn't do a goal setting one. I didn't do what habits I'm going to start doing in 2022, what things I'm going to leave behind in 2021. I didn't do it. And the reason is I obviously am a personal finance channel, and my personal finances now are pretty much all automated. I have perfected the art of automating your personal finances to the point that as soon as my paycheck hits my bank, pretty much the same amounts go out into different pots on the same day. So I don't even see it at this point, and I don't have to lift a finger. It's all set up for me, all the same amounts, everything. So if I was to create a goal setting video purely on my personal finances in January, that video would have been about 10 seconds long, because I would just have to say it's going to be the same amounts going to the same places every single month. And that's not interesting for anyone to watch. But what I do find when you set goals in January is that by December, you've pretty much forgotten what those goals in January were, or at least this is my experience with setting goals, and you don't necessarily keep yourself accountable. I certainly swap in, swap out goals. I don't really track them. I don't refer back to them. They're nice to have in January, and they do motivate me in January, but by even June, I wouldn't be able to tell you what they were. And I definitely found that last year. I found that in 2020 as well. Obviously, we had, you know, the pandemic and stuff, so things all went out the window on that year, but I thought, why not for 2022 keep myself accountable and introduce a new monthly reset routine so that I can keep track of not only my personal finances and goals, but also my personal goals, any other goals I have in my life that's got to do with my small businesses or fitness or food or travel or whatever it might be. So this is where you're going to find all that information. Now, I would love some feedback on this format. Do let me know down below, but right now I'm just going to jump straight in. My first section, I'm going to go through my personal goals. Now, this is not personal finance, this is my personal goals. And I haven't really spoken about goals that I am personally aiming towards on this channel. Obviously, it's a personal finance channel, so I don't really talk about things outside of my goals, but they're definitely tailored into personal finance. For example, the first goal that I want to hit this year is 10,000 subscribers right here on Her Pregnant Potential YouTube channel. Now, that is a tall order. I've been doing YouTube now for just over a year, and well, a year and a few months actually, and I am now on 4,000 subscribers. And when you first start a YouTube channel, I'm sure other channels would say this as well, you become really focused on the numbers. You need to hit 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours to even earn a penny off YouTube. And as much as people say they do it for the passion, there is that goal that's immediately put in your sights of 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 watch hours. But once you're over the 1,000 subscribers, there's not really like a next target that everyone discusses. In fact, it kind of then gets hush-hushed, and no one really talks about wanting to hit certain goals of subscribers, which I find really interesting. It's kind of like once you hit the 1,000, if you then say that you would like to hit 100,000, you're seen as crazy or you're seen as ridiculous, and no one really discusses it. So my goal for this year is to hit 10,000 subscribers. Now, as I said, I'm on just over 4,000, and it's taken me over a year to get there. So I'm, you know, that is a stretch target for me. So just jumping onto my YouTube analytics, I'm currently on 4,071 subscribers, and I have gained 459 subscribers throughout the last 28 days, which is really, really great for me. Usually it's around 300 subscribers. So it's been a really great month, and I'm really, really happy to see that I've gone over 4,000 this month. So I am around 6,000 away from my target for the year. So let's see how that goes. Now, some other goals that I have in this same remit is obviously Instagram and also TikTok. I have both of them. I don't really pay them much attention. So I would love to hit 1,000 followers on Instagram. I'm currently on 900 and something. I think it's like 910. And then TikTok, I think I have like 30. So I don't really post over there, so I definitely need to start posting more. But yeah, I'd like to hit 1,000 on both of those channels, and then 10,000 on this channel right here. And they're my goals for the year. So I will be keeping you up to date with how I am doing throughout the year on those goals. But at the moment, we're kind of tracking pretty well. The next goal for January was veganuary. Now, do let me know if you also did veganuary in January, because I have tried it many times before and I've only succeeded once before, and usually I will last about a week and then I will need to have some cheese in my life. So I actually have lasted this whole month doing veganuary, which I'm really, really happy to say. I actually found it really easy this year. I don't know if it's just me, but I think London in particular is really great for vegans. There's so many vegan restaurants. Every supermarket has a vegan aisle pretty much at this point, or at least their own vegan range. There's loads of cheese alternatives, there's loads of meat alternatives, and restaurants have all introduced vegan options, particularly for veganuary. So I found it a breeze this time, mainly because I could pretty much swap what I usually eat into a vegan alternative really easily and not for that much more money. I'd love to do a video on vegan on a budget and say how much you would spend switching to being vegan. I would say that I probably spent a little bit more because I did treat myself to go and try some vegan options in restaurants and things like that. So I definitely spent a bit more than you would just being on a vegan or a plant-based diet normally. But I really enjoyed it and I managed to actually tick that one off. So that one gets a big tick. And then lastly, something I think is on everyone's agenda in January is to start gymming more regularly. I love to go to the gym when I was working 9 to 5 in an office every single day. I was a real girl of a routine. I would go to the gym before I go to the office. And now that I'm working from home, or hybrid working from home, working in the office, I didn't struggle to find an excuse to not go, is all I'm gonna say. Like, it's so easy to convince yourself not to go, basically. So I have now signed up to a gym at the end of my road, because the number one excuse I had was that there's no gym that's good for my office and good for home, because I live about an hour away from my office now. So I'd always use that excuse. Now I've joined one at the end of my road. It has actually cost me quite a bit of money to join this gym. It's £149 a month. So when we look at how much I spend on a monthly basis, this is definitely going to have some impact on my outgoings. But you know, London gyms are really expensive. Obviously you can go to like the Pure Gym style gyms, which are like £20 a month or so, and I was a member of a Pure Gym up until, it's called The Gym actually, up until the end of last year. But again, I was not motivated to go. I didn't want to go, and I feel like this class at the end, this class gym at the end of my road is really going to keep me on track to be going regularly. So I have been going around 3-4 times a week in January. I did have one whole week where I didn't go once though, so I wouldn't quite say I am regularly going again, but this one I would say is, I've done pretty well in January. Maybe I say how many days I go out of the month. That might be a good way to track it. So the next section that I'm going to run through are my personal finances, and I'm going to expose myself here because I'm going to do a section on how much I have spent in a month and how much I have saved in a month. I'm not going to do how much I invest in a month because it's £300 every single month, and yeah, so it's not going to vary, so it won't be that interesting. So first up is going to be how much I've spent this month. Now it's really easy for me to track because I transfer all my spending money into my Monzo app at the beginning of the month. So it obviously has this summary page in the app, which if you don't use Monzo, I fully recommend it because for tracking anyway, it's really good, and I can use this to then put it into my spreadsheet, and that's what I do every single month. Now there's a few caveats to this before I completely expose myself. Firstly is that I paid off my credit card, which I used to buy this camera that I'm currently filming on and flights home to Spain, so at Christmas. So there was £890 in my credit card from December, and I paid that off. So that is included in this spending. So the total amount on my Monzo, I'm like avoiding the subject, is £1,858. Now take away the 890 for the credit card, it's £968, which is much higher than I expected it to be, which is why it's really great to track how much you're spending on a monthly basis. Now that's not including my rent and bills, which is another £550 on top. So in total, my spending is £1,518. So yeah, I don't know if that's good or not yet. I'm gonna track it for a few months and see if that's a good month or a bad month. For me, that doesn't sound too horrific, but I'm sure some of you are thinking that's really, really high. And I would say, as I mentioned when I said I went vegan for the month, I did probably spend more on food out than I usually would. But yeah, not that much. So that's quite high. Now, secondly, much more positively, how much I saved in January. Now, again, this was much higher than it usually would be. So I automatically saved £200 into my Help to Buy and then £300 into my Chip app. If you don't know, I'm the social media manager of an app called Chip. They help you save money. It's a really great app. And I also have the auto save function turned on, so they help save small little bite-sized amounts every 4 days. It goes into your account and you don't even notice it. So I started the month, let me go back to the beginning of the month. So I started the month with £598 in my Chip app, and I have finished the month on £2,999 and 54p. The reason there is such a big jump up is because in 2020, 2021, I was self-employed, I went freelance. After the pandemic, I was unemployed and I started freelancing to start earning money again. And I obviously went self-employed. Now, you pay your taxes much later than when you do the work as self-employed. I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here and many of you understand this already, but I had to pay my taxes from that time in January. Now, I actually overcompensated when I saved for taxes, and I forgot that I did that because, again, in the Monzo app, if you have the business account, the Business Pro, you can automatically get taxes taken out of every single charge. So all my YouTube payments would go into there, any freelance work I was doing would go into there, and it would automatically take a percentage out. Now, what I would recommend if you are self-employed, and I'm sure you already do this anyway, is to get the help of an accountant basically to figure out your taxes, because I'd never done it before and it was certainly very confusing for me to do. So I had an accountant help me go through all my finances, all my expenses, all my invoices, and see how much tax I owed. And which blew me away actually, but I massively overcompensated when I was saving for taxes, and I managed to have about £2,500 or £2,000 left over. So the £300 actually for February's already gone into the Chip app, which is why it's quite considerably higher. But I also managed to add in around £2,000 from my taxes that I didn't actually need in the end. So I was really, really chuffed with that, and it definitely won't be happening every single month. So this is going to be the best month in terms of savings. Usually it will be around 350 quid that, you know, 300 from my payday put away and then around 50 from the top ups. But yeah, really, really happy to see that. Now, I treat this as kind of emergency fund, rainy day fund account. It's the easiest access I have to savings. So all my other savings are locked away in ISAs. So I would say this is my easy access savings pot, and I keep it on my Chip app. So fully recommend checking it out. I'll leave a link down below and a code for you to get £10 when you sign up if you use my code below. Now, the only other thing I'm going to put in this section of personal finances, I'm not going to expose myself too much anymore because it is quite telling when you say how much you have spent in a month, and I'm going to have to get used to that. But what I would say is that one of my goals for January was to not buy any new clothes. I always get tempted by the sale rail. I love that January there are loads of sales, particularly with clothes. Now, I find that when I shop in a sale, I might buy something that I didn't actually want or I didn't actually need, and I'm really guilty of that, and I didn't want to do that this year. So I put a spending ban on clothes in January. So the one caveat was that I had to return and purchase a present for my boyfriend, but other than that, I didn't spend any money on clothes until yesterday, where I bought one top for £22. So I didn't really tick that box. I'm actually going to roll that over to February as a no spend on clothes in February. And so finally, this is going to be a long one. So finally, I thought we would take a look forward and see how February is panning out. And now that all my finances are reset, I've got my paycheck sat in my bank, what am I going to be spending on in February and what can we expect from February? So firstly, there's a lot more things I need to spend money on in February, which is frustrating, but I didn't have to do any pre-paying for trips or anything like that in January, and it's kind of all coming at once in February. I have a few weddings that are coming up in May April, May time that I need to book accommodation for and flights for. So I have 2 sets of flights that I need to book in February, and also 2 sets of accommodation, 3 sets of accommodation for April, May. So hopefully that means my April, May spend will be less because I'm obviously paying for it now. I'm gonna be paying for this rather than using a credit card. Usually I do like to use credit just so that I can get points for it basically, but I'm not gonna be doing that. I'm gonna be just paying for them up front, set the year off right without any credit card debts. And then the final thing for February is to mention my student loan payments. So these are changing from this month actually. So this paycheck, I did have my student loan included in it, but if you pay off your student loan or you come close to paying off your student loan, they send you a letter to say that you need to swap to direct debit rather than using your pay slip essentially. So I have opted to do direct debit monthly, and frustratingly, they don't take it off your paycheck immediately. So I've double paid for my student loan January, February. So I'm gonna factor that into February as well. But yeah, really, really frustrating. But it does mean that I'm nearly at the end of my student loan payments, which means my paycheck will be slightly more each month as soon as that goes, which is really exciting. But I do need to factor that into my spend for February. So we will see how that goes as well. And that is my monthly reset routine all wrapped up for the month of February. I hope you enjoyed it. Do let me know down below if you would like to see this video on a monthly basis, if it was helpful, if there's anything else you would like to add into this to see on a routine basis, if there's any other goals you would like to see me include. But yeah, I've really enjoyed doing a bit of a monthly wrap up, and also looking forward to see what February is going to bring in terms of spending, but also personal goals as well. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you soon. Bye.